Special focus on the show today, a look at the impact that changing weather patterns is having on North India, especially the mountain regions of Uttarakhand, Himachal and Jammu and Kashmir. There's been a lack of rainfall during the post-monsoon season and next to no winter snowfall in some parts. Remember, this is the month where we see a lot of snowfall in the hill states. Now, one of the most stark examples that we can show you is in Gulmarg. So just pulling up those pictures there, where a popular Gulmarg, as we all know, is a popular winter tourist destination which is known for its snow-covered slopes and attracts skiers from across the country. But just look at Gulmarg. Right now, it's hardly received any snowfall and those ski slopes are all bare. Meteorologists attribute the low snow to the ongoing El Nino weather event that led to 2023 actually being the warmest year on record. But this has very far-reaching and devastating consequences on the hill states, especially in the coming summer months. But first, a look at this report.
What would usually be snow-capped mountains at this time of the year lie barren and deserted. It's an unusual winter in the hills. It's January and Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand have just got marginal snowfall and rain. 4 districts of Himachal and 8 of Uttarakhand are facing a drought-like situation. And the most affected of all are Rabi farmers. Uttarakhand's Udham Singh Nagar district has recorded the highest rain deficiency, and farmers like Govind Singh, who rely on crops like wheat, potato and peas, are the worst hit.
कम से 4-5 महीने बाद हुई ना है तो गेहूं के सूख रही है, आलू के पत्ते जल रहे हैं.
In Uttarakhand, 6 lakh hectares of land is under cultivation. There's been a 47% shortfall in rain and snowfall since October. In the hill districts, 80% of agriculture is dependent on weather. The state government has asked for an assessment of damage.
अगर बारिश नहीं होती है, सरकार की तरफ से जो भी मदद होगी सरकार उसे करेगी.
The situation is no different in Himachal Pradesh. Post-monsoon, there has been a 45% rain deficit, which went up to 83% in December. And as on January 8, 2024, a 100% rainfall deficit was reported. According to the Met Department, every year there was rain and snowfall after the monsoon due to western disturbances. But this time, there was rain only due to 3.
हमारा जो कूलिंग सिस्टम है वो कहीं ना कहीं तो प्रभावित होता ही, अगर जो हमको जो एक नॉर्मल एक्टिविटी के आसपास चीजें नहीं मिलती है.
Meanwhile, up north, Kashmir's Gulmarg, which generally receives snowfall during this time of the year, has not received any in the last 2 months. However, that has not affected tourist footfall. In fact, the tourists say that despite no snow, they have come to enjoy the scenic beauty of Kashmir.
तो अभी आपको लग रहा है कि अगर स्नोफॉल होती तो ज्यादा मजा लगता?
हाँ, उसका भी एक अलग मजा है, पर कश्मीर तो हमेशा ही ब्यूटीफुल रहा है, सुंदर है.
While the farmers of Uttarakhand and Himachal wait for the rain, this heavy shift in the weather patterns raises several concerns. With Shrirupa Goswami, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Well, to talk more about this, because the impact of it is not just, of course, tourists coming to the hills, but much deeper, much larger. And to talk more about it, we're joined by Professor S.K. Dhaka, University of Delhi, member of the Delhi School of Climate Change and Sustainability. Also, Devinder Sharma, agricultural policy expert. Thank you so much for joining us. First, we're going to go across to NDTV's reporters. We're joined by Nazir and Kishore Rawat. And Nazir, first to you, I think the image that has really brought it home, this impact of climate change, has been looking at Gulmarg last year at this time and today, where those ski slopes are absolutely bare. But this has huge impacts in the months to come.
Exactly. And last year, these days, I was reporting skiing and fresh snowfall in Gulmarg. There was a lot of snow on the slopes of Gulmarg and large number of tourists had come for skiing in that area. But this year, it is really strange in many ways. For example, Jammu is colder than Srinagar. Can you believe this? And today the temperature in Jammu was just 11.6, and while in Srinagar it was 14.2, which is 8 degrees above the normal. And across Kashmir, according to Met Office, the maximum temperature in most of the stations was today observed 7 to 8 degrees above normal. And there's no indication of any snowfall or rains over the next 1 week. According to Met Department, till this dry weather will continue till 16th of this month, and there will be a feeble western disturbance are approaching after the 16th of this month. So clearly it is snowless valley this year. Gulmarg, which used to have a heavy snowfall, though there have been very little snowfall once or twice this year, this season. But it is really disappointing to see Gulmarg slopes completely barren this year, and the valley Srinagar has not received even an inch of snow this year, and it has not been any even raining. So really a dry weather in the valley, and it is impacting the climate, and it's like impacting the water system, river system in the valley, and also electricity as well. Because the snow on the mountains, they become the water towers of the valley. And I was in Ladakh. Just I returned yesterday, and I saw people were very, very concerned. Even in Ladakh, there has not been so much snowfall on the mountains there as well. So overall, we see no either very little or no snowfall in this season, which is a big, big worry.
All right, Nazir, and let's go across to Kishore as well. And Kishore, if you could tell us, what has it been like, in the month of January, concerns about the lack of snow, the lack of water in summer months, और उत्तराखंड में तो वो forest fires भी होते हैं.
बिल्कुल, इस बार अगर बारिश की बात करें तो अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर और जनवरी अभी तक बारिश नहीं हुई है. दिसंबर में -70%, 75% है जो बारिश नहीं हुई, और अक्टूबर और नवंबर की बात करें तो -52% है. जनवरी में अभी 18 तारीख तक कोई बारिश होने के आसार नहीं है. इसकी वजह से जो सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान है वो किसानों को, और जो पहाड़ों में बागवानी की खेती करते हैं उनको सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान है. और इसके अलावा जो होटल व्यवसायी है, जिनकी उम्मीद ये रहती है कि बर्फबारी होगी तो पर्यटक यहाँ पर पहुँचेंगे और उनके कारोबार चलेगा, तो उनको भी निराशा हाथ लगी है. बारिश नहीं हो पा रही है, बर्फबारी नहीं हो पा रही है. पिछला सीजन लंबा चला गया है जो बारिश नहीं हुई है. दूसरी बात यह है कि उत्तराखंड में अगर बारिश की बात करें तो अब तक दिसंबर के आखिरी हफ्ते और जनवरी में अब तक बारिश और बर्फबारी काफ़ी अच्छी हो जाती थी, लेकिन नहीं हुई है. वैज्ञानिकों का कहना है कि जो मौसम है वो बहुत तेज़ी से बदल रहा है. गर्मी का जो मौसम है वो बहुत लंबा खींच रहा है, विंटर सीजन कम हो रहा है. उसकी वजह से बारिश और बर्फबारी नहीं हो रही है. ओवरऑल लगा जाए तो सामान्य जो तापमान है उससे 3-4 डिग्री अभी ऊपर चल रहा है. यानी इस वक्त जो नॉर्मल टेम्परेचर उससे नीचे होना चाहिए था, लेकिन इस वक्त उन नॉर्मल टेम्परेचर से ऊपर चल रहा है. और जो सूखी ठंड है उसने लोगों को काफ़ी परेशान किया है. लोगों को काफ़ी सारी दिक्कतें हो रही है. और मैदानी इलाकों की बात करें तो उत्तराखंड में 13 ज़िले हैं, उसमें 3 जो ज़िले हैं वो मैदानी क्षेत्र में है. वहाँ पर कोहरा है, वहाँ पर ज़्यादातर फसलें वहीं पर होती है, जो गेहूं की हो गई, मटर, आलू, इसके अलावा अन्य फसलें होती है, वो काफ़ी नुकसान हो रहा है उनको. और दूसरी तरफ पहाड़ की अगर बात करें तो पहाड़ों में बर्फबारी नहीं है, पहाड़ सूखे हैं. सर्दियों में इस बार रिकॉर्ड हुआ है, पिछले 2 सालों में उत्तराखंड में फॉरेस्ट फायर का जो सीज़न है वो सबसे ज़्यादा गुजरा है. ये अपने आप में चौंकाने वाले आंकड़े हैं कि उत्तराखंड में जनवरी तक, यानी अगर जनवरी 5 तक देखा जाए तो 1500 से ज़्यादा आग की घटनाएं हो चुकी है. तो ये उत्तराखंड के लिए बहुत डेंजर है. और पूरे जो सिस्टम है, यानी मौसम का जो सिस्टम है, उसके लिए भी कहीं ना कहीं ये चैलेंजिंग है कि अब बारिश नहीं हो पा रही है. तो ऐसे में जो कंस्ट्रक्शन तेजी से चल रहा है, उत्तराखंड में बहुत सारी जगहों कंस्ट्रक्शन चल रहा है, लगातार ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रही है, तो ये चिंता का कारण है जिसकी वजह से बारिश नहीं हो पा रही है. और जो ठंड है वो सूखी ठंड हो रही है, इससे लोगों को दिक्कतें हो रही है. जी.
All right. Thank you so much, Kishore and Nazir, for joining us with that. And before I go to my guest, let's take a look at this post by Omar Abdullah, where he also compares, the situation currently in Gulmarg, saying, I've never seen Gulmarg so dry in the winter. To put this in perspective, here are a couple of photographs where he's shared, which shows, the stark contrast. But Professor Dhaka, if you could, comment on this, because this has far-reaching impacts. As we say, it's the farmers who get impacted the worst because of these sort of changes in weather patterns.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, as Najir Bhai and Rawatji mentioned, that there is a deficit in the rainfall. That is true, and because we have to have kind of moisture in the air, and if there is no moisture, then we do not have rain, and it is becoming more dry. And the second most important point is that we are having, if you just compare, 2023 is warmest year, and after every 2-3 years we mark another year as the warmest year, which we are watching for the last 1 decade. 2009 was warm, then 2015-16, and then recently 2023. So there is a comparison that in 2023 and 2024, then certainly 2024 is dry. And I'd like to mention here, which is very important to understand, that we are having a El Nino Southern Oscillation Index, we call ENSO, El Nino event. And this El Nino event has a ocean origin, and which has a more effective, and sea surface temperature increases in the Pacific, Central and Eastern Pacific. And these are the far-reaching consequences of global circulation changes. So because of the change in the global circulation, so then this could be one of the possible regions that you are having a dry season. El Nino has a negative impact.
Absolutely.
On our Indian system.
And Devendra Sharma, when we talk about, the El Nino impact and the way it's impacting our weather patterns, one feels quite helpless. And really the need of the hour is for our farmers to, for us to prepare them, authorities to prepare them for these, changing weather patterns. We need changing agriculture patterns as well.
Well, I don't deny that, but I think we should also look into from farmers' perspective. After all, for the apple plantation, let's say, because that's the most important horticulture crop in this region, their apple plants require a chilling environment of at least 1,000 hours to 1,600 hours every season, every winter season. Now, this year, the chilling environment has been very low. The temperatures have been high this time. And the result is that we will see in the flowering stage, and when the flowers set in or the fruit set in, we will see a shortfall in production. Now that is what farmers are worried about. When you say 100% loss in Himachal Pradesh, for instance, or 45% in Uttarakhand and J&K, I think we should understand that how much is going to be the impact for farmers, and they can do little at this juncture because these are temperate plantations, and I don't think it is easy to go in for steps at this particular stage. Having said that, I think the more important part would be how to ensure that the climate change that we are all talking about doesn't happen in the manner that the progress that we see has led to. So that is one stage. The other part is, yes, you are right, El Nino is impacting, and I think Gulmarg should become a kind of a symbol of climate change, seeing the dry mountains, and then of course the snow-clad mountains. I think that will give a clear picture as the damage that lies ahead. Let's not also forget that what happens in the Himalayas also impact the plains, because roughly about 12 crore to 15 crore people who are farming in this part of the country are also impacted by less snow in the mountains, and we have less melting, and obviously that would impact the flow in the rivers. So it is a continuity that is going to impact agriculture, right from the mountains to the plains. And I think it is time now to wake up. As you rightly mentioned, to wake up. But what steps need to be taken, I think, is little beyond farmers' share or role, because it is the governments which have to step in to see that we reduce global warming, which means that we get away from that GDP model that we have created or we rely on, and to focus on how to build up nature again. Look at stubble burning in Punjab. Look at the situation where apple farmers are now burning the twigs and so on at the waste, and so therefore the climate also is being impacted by the waste burning in the Himalayas. So I think the states have to really step in to see how we can reduce the waste burning that the farmers are indulging in, and that of course impacts, as we know, the other the crop pattern or the crop system.
Right, absolutely. At this juncture, as you said, Devendra Sharma, it's not possible really to do anything. But as I was mentioning, that this is something authorities need to think long term, and clearly, maybe apple farm orchards now, these farmers and have to be helped in changing something, the kind of crop that they're harvesting right now. Professor Dhaka, it really does need a long term, thought out plan to help the farmers, because they can't be left at this juncture feeling helpless and losing their entire crop.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, because when you talk about the farmers, so then definitely, as Dr. Devendra Sharma mentioned, that you have to see that at which altitude one kind of the crop is growing, and we are harvesting that, and now you have to change because of the altitude. And even the things are like which were happening, let's say at 2000 meter. Now the same thing, if you want to achieve, then probably you have to go a little higher. So especially like for the apple and for many other flowers, or then there are a number of we are having a cultivation. So there is a change in the cultivation pattern, and definitely it is happening because of the change in the global warming. But I agree. I think when you talk about stubble burning, probably this year stubble burning has reduced. But despite all these facts, there are other factors. Because I was just watching that data, so probably it is like 50% less comparatively this year, and we hope that maybe next year and the next year the things will improve better. But the other factors, especially like you are having transport, we are having small scale industry, we are having dust and construction and all. We have to have the very strong rules and regulation, and so that we can follow them and you can curb this pollution. And I think one very important scientific question is this, that when you talk about aerosols loading or pollutants loading, then naturally it has the radiation effect in the Himalayas, and that is going to connect with the snowfall. And then I think in future it is going to change the rain pattern. So rain pattern can shift from one place to another. So these are very, very important, I think, inputs we should learn from our global warming climate change.
Right, Devinder, Dr. Devinder Sharma, you know, the buzzword these days is sustainable farming. And again, this is something for which the farmers and the villagers need help in adapting to. What would you say about, you know, these changing patterns that we're seeing and, you know, the vagaries of the weather and a need for pushing more sustainable farming, millets, etc. Millets, it was the year of the millets last year. And these are seen to be more hardy crops and something that, you know, in the long term can withstand certain aspects of climate change.
Well, you are very right, and this is not the first year that we are seeing this. You know, if you look at Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir, especially, we have seen the apple plantations. You know, the height at which the plantation used to be taking place or plantation were existing have now gone up. Quite significantly, and the reason is, you know, because these crops need chilling environment, as I said, and which is not available now in the minimum is not available in the lower hills. So now the crops are moving upwards, and I think that clearly tells us that how the system is changing. At the same time, you know, as far as science is concerned, there are efforts being made to bring in varieties which have a short or chilling kind of temperature requirement. So that would mean it will ensure that the apple plantations survive during this dry weather, and that is one way of doing it. Plus, you know, we have seen it for last as I said, a couple of decades. You know, the apple plantations have gone up, and also we have seen it's not only impacting the crops, it's also impacting the flora and fauna, you know, and the you know, species like butterflies and so on. They have also changed their operational areas. You know, earlier the butterflies that used to be in the lower hills have now gone up, and that's because of the temperature changing and the climate changing. So I think these are the factors which should give us an idea as to what future systems that we should be encouraging or laying out. As far as the other crops are concerned, as far as the cereals and so on, I think that would be impacted like the impact is being felt in the plains. But I think the temperate crops, which are basically the horticulture crops being grown there, I think need that temperature, the chilling temperature or the cooling temperature. This year, as was spelled out earlier, the temperature is now 11 or 14 degrees C and higher than what it used to exist several years back. I think for chilling environment, we need a temperature in minus or close to zero. And this year, even in Himachal Pradesh, the temperature is presently ruling around 11 degree or so, or let's say higher than what was happening earlier, quite significantly. And that tells us that the climate change is definitely there, and I think we need to be pulling up our socks to see that the impact is reduced for the farming community. The other part, of course, is the water. Let's not forget, because when we talked about the water towers, Himalaya being the water tower, it also impacts the river flow. And let's not forget, because the Himalayas, there are at least 12 rivers which come out from the Himalayas. And I think you can see the impact that is going to be as far as the people living downstream is concerned, or the water requirement is concerned.
Right.
So both ways.
Retreating
Up
glaciers
on the
has been
mountains.
quite a worry for some time now. As you said, so many of our rivers emerged, the Ganga, Yamuna, all emerged from the Himalayas. Thank you so much, Professor Dhaka and Devendra Sharma, for joining us. And we want to leave you with these visuals of Gulmarg again, because the difference is just so stark. What it was last year, you can see the snow, those ski slopes, and what it is this year. A huge worry, especially in the coming summer months, as this snowfall that happens in the month of January is what lasts these regions, the summer months, when there is a lack of water. Also, the lack of moisture increases the fear of forest fires in the hills, and this is something in Himachal and Uttarakhand that is a really real fear. So there you can see the stark image of 2023 January and this year January. Those slopes are absolutely bare.